We're here at the Des Moines County Conservation Big Hollow Shooting Range. We're here on the 50-yard range here today, and I'm here to tell you about a new feature that Des Moines County Conservation has added to the shooting range. For a long time, we've had people request the opportunity to be able to shoot shotguns here at the range, and we just really couldn't figure out a way to do a trap range or a skeet range the way you would normally see at shotgun facilities, but we've come up with kind of an opportunity here to have somewhat of a happy medium. You'll still be able to shoot shotguns at moving targets, shoot clay birds, but it's not going to be the official sport of trap or skeet, but it will give you the opportunity to shoot at moving targets and still stay within the safety parameters of the range here. So let's go check it out. So what we have is a couple clay bird throwers that we built on either side of the 50-yard range here at the 25-yard mark. So halfway down the range, we have two clay bird throwers on either side of the range. We have one over here on the left, and then there's another one over there on the right. And in between, we've got this gravel pad. And that pad is where the shooters will shoot from. And over here at these clay bird throwers is where you'll be able to throw targets from. So the way it'll work is a lot like the 25-yard range, where when there's multiple shooters on the range, you'll just have to coordinate with each other and say, hey, we're going to go down range and shoot at clay birds. Remember, safety is paramount. The biggest thing with this is that the clay birds that come off of these throwers have to stay below the termination berm. We can't have shot going out of the range, going out beyond the termination berm and falling into the wetland areas we have beyond here. So all of the shot still needs to be contained within the range here. It has to hit the termination berm. So as you'll see, these throwers are set up where the clay birds stay pretty low. It's not necessarily the ideal situation, but it's what we've got to work with here. So I'll show you here how this is going to work. We'll have these clay bird throwers set up here. They're mounted to this post. This doesn't move. This is permanently affixed. This is the only place from which we can shoot and throw clay birds. So what you'll do is you'll take a clay bird, you grab this, and it takes a little bit of force because that's a pretty heavy spring, but you pull that back and there's a piece right here that will dictate where the clay bird needs to go. And so you'll just slip that on there and slide that right underneath that. And then this is your cord that you'll pull to make this thing go. Now you'll need to be really careful when this is pulled. This thing comes flying out of here pretty hard, and so if you have anything on this side of it, that's a good way to get injured. So be very careful of that. All right, when your friend or family member is with you and they're ready to shoot, they'll just call for the bird. Usually in this sport you'll say pull, and they'll be somewhere on the shooting area, which is the graveled walkway at the 25-yard mark. They'll be standing there. They can stand close to the thrower, they can stand in the middle, they can stand clear to the other side, depending on the angle that you want to get at the bird. If you stand close here, it's going to be a fairly straightaway shot. If you stand clear to the other end, it's going to be very much of a crossing shot. The opposite holds true on the other side. You stand close to the thrower, it'll be a going away shot. If you stand over here on the opposite end, it's going to be a crossing shot, either left or right, depending on which side you're throwing from. When they're ready for the bird, they'll yell pull. Make sure you're standing plenty back. Nothing's in front of the throwing arm here, and you just give it a pull. All right, it'll throw the bird, and then the shooter can shoot. One bird at a time coming out of here. The gauge is set to where that needs to be in order to keep the birds down below, the clay birds down below that termination berm. As I said, the shot has to be kept inside of the range. This gravel area right here is where the shooters can shoot from. The bird throwers are on either side. All right, they're lined up with the walkway, and so one person will be at one of the throwers, and then the shooters or multiple shooters, there's room for about probably 5 or 6 here, will stand anywhere in this rocked area. All right, so if they stand, we recommend you don't stand too close to the thrower because you don't want to, if a bird breaks or something, you don't want to get hit by flying debris. But if you stand close to the thrower, the shot's going to be very much kind of at a going away. If you're throwing from over here and you go and you stand clear down to this side, the farther over here you get, the more of an angle that's going to be, because that clay bird thrower is throwing from the edge of your shooting area into the corner of the berm. That's basically the angle. So if you're down at this end, that's going to be almost a perfect crossing shot. You can shoot from anywhere inside of here. You cannot, however, shoot in front of this. All right? No shooters should ever be in front of the gravel walkway, because they'll be in front of the area where the clay birds are going to be thrown. Also, you want to make sure that you communicate with anybody that's up in the shelter that's shooting rifles on the range, because you'll be downrange from them. So the same thing applies on the 25-yard range. You're just going to have to communicate and make sure that other shooters on the range know that you're going downrange, and just share the range time accordingly. Now, we do recognize that there will be some shot hitting the targets back there, and it's not exactly an ideal situation, but this is what we've got to work with, and so we do recognize that that is going to happen. We ask that you simply try to minimize that and don't go out of your way to shoot the targets there. Try to keep your shots at the clay birds only, and again, all that shot has to be kept below the termination berm. Now, one of the questions that's been brought up, or one of the concerns that's been brought up in the process of planning this out, is that people at the shooting range, at the shelter, the firing line at the shelter, the rifle firing line, are going to shoot at these. Now, we trust that our range members are not going to do that. We have very good range members here. People take care of this range. We're very proud of it, and we know that they are too. We expect that these will not get shot up. If they do, we will have to eliminate this feature from this range altogether, because we cannot have projectiles coming from the range hitting the side berms. There's another range right on the other side of the side berm. There are houses and people that are farther down range. Everything needs to be contained in here, and rifle shots here on the 50-yard range should only be hitting the targets down at the end down there. So we trust that folks are not going to do that, and that this will be used for its intended purpose, simply as the pedestal to hold the clay bird throwers for people to shoot shotguns from this line right here. We also cannot have people shooting shotguns from farther behind this line, because if they were to do that, they would be behind the people that are throwing the birds, and therefore those people that are throwing the birds will be downrange from the people shooting. So it has to be in a line right across the range. Everybody has to be on that same firing line, on that same plane, so that nobody is in front of the clay birds and nobody is in front of the shotguns being shot. We do not have restrictions on the type of shot that can be used at this time. You may use lead, you may use steel if you want. Obviously you cannot use slugs, but it has to be shot of any sort. We do not have a shotgun size requirement, but any commonly used loads for bird hunting here in the state of Iowa is what we expect to be here. Just like on all the other ranges, we expect shooters to pick up after themselves, clean up all their empty shells, pick up any empty or any unshot clay birds that are downrange, especially anything that falls in front of the targets. We ask you to pick that up and throw that away in our trash cans as well. Please keep the range clean. We're really excited to be able to offer this feature. This feature will go live once we have the majority of range members have gone through this training here in order to be trained on how and when they can properly use this. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, any thoughts, please don't hesitate to give us a call. Our office number is 319-753-8260. You can reach Des Moines County Conservation there. Otherwise, you can find us online, dmcconservation.com. This will be integrated into the new member training and into the new existing member refresher going forward as well. Again, we have shotgun shooting opportunities here on the 50-yard range. It's done from the 25-yard line, so halfway down the range. With the stationary clay bird throwers, you may only use the clay bird throwers that are provided. You may not bring your own. That's an important point. You may not bring your own clay bird throwers. You have to use the ones provided. Shoot from the 25-yard line here. You can use either clay bird thrower on either side, and otherwise have fun, be safe, take care of the range, help out other shooters, train the new generation. And again, if you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to hit us up. We're glad to be offering this amenity. It's been a long time coming, and we hope it goes well. Thank you.